There is this rapper out there named Viper, and he absolutely sucks. Not just at making music, but at being a human being. This man was charged in 2024 of kidnapping a pregnant woman and aggravating assaulting her and keeping her in his garage for several years. He was charged with kidnapping and sexually assaulting a second woman in 2021, but those charges were mysteriously dropped. On October 22nd, he and his ex-wife additionally were charged with over 500 counts of fraud and tampering with government records. Now, if this isn't something that you would like to hear from your favorite rapper, I wouldn't be surprised. However, Viper is nobody's favorite rapper. And I'm not just saying that to be mean, I'm saying that because it's true. Viper has released over 1,500 records since 2000, and over 300 of those came in 1 year. Just this year alone, he has released more than 20 albums, and all of that music is just re-released and reused. In total, of all the music Viper has released, probably 12 to 15 albums of it are just original content. Now, because Viper is such an interesting artist, I've decided to make this video go into 5 different topics, and each section will cover a topic. And the first section will be album overproduction. Now, you don't have to dig deep to see that Viper has so many albums. You can just go on his Spotify or Apple Music page and see that there are so many goddamn albums. His most popular album is "Y'all Cowards Don't Even Smoke Crack," and no, I did not say that wrong, it's spelt wrong. Viper, especially in 2015, decided to release multiple albums a day, and therefore the quality of the album and the music in the actual album were pretty bad. The album cover, the album name, it all just felt super wasteful, and eventually he got to a point where he was just calling things sequels and making series of albums that didn't even make sense. My favorite part about these albums are that in most of the songs, they're just reworked versions of an original song that he had came up with. I could list so many examples of times where he's done this, but it's honestly really hard to hear until you look it up and find actual sources. Most of the albums he comes out with are pure garbage, and I could show you some of his music, but I kind of want you guys just to click on a random song yourself to make sure that I'm not picking and choosing, but I'll play some clips here just to show you how bad some of his music it really is.
Phone, hollering at my boys. I never seen a lake bigger than the one in Illinois. Man, this is for real. Taking trips around the states for my rhyme appeal.
Then there's also some crazy song titles and crazy album covers. You can just scroll through yourself and see how crazy these really get, but for demonetization reasons, I'm not going to be showing all the album covers, especially the ones that he was releasing in late 2017, because pretty much all of those were just naked girls, especially the albums in 2016 and 2015, that just borderline on softcore you know what, so we're not going to get into those. However, I do want to show you some of my favorite Viper covers, which come at the expense of very little humanity and very little humility. I don't even know if it's the same thing at this point. But sadly, some of my favorite covers I can't even show because they're pretty much just naked girls. Why are these some of my favorite covers, you ask? Because of how bad the text is displayed and how low effort the actual album cover is. Also, some of the song names and album names are terrible. His second most popular album, The Haram Clark Hustler, makes no fucking sense. Not to mention, he has made 5 albums with the title "Y'all Cowards Don't Even Smoke Crack," and that's not even including the remix albums that he usually drops just a day after he releases the other album. He released an album this year titled "Free Viper" after everything that he did, and the first title of the album is "In Jail for Something I Didn't Do." Now, you'd think this entire album would have lyrics about what we're about to get into, but none of the lyrics actually describe why he should be out of jail, just the song titles. All of these songs are just remixed versions of older songs he's made about smoking crack and about women, so it really makes you think where this guy's priorities really are. Some of these album covers are so bad, and some of the worst ones he actually uses multiple times on sequels without changing them pretty much at all. And I think there are some fans out there who can make the case for the fact that Viper is actually being artistic and that all of this is satire and that the music is pretty decent. But take the track No Effort at All, for example. You listen to it, it's the title track of his LP No Effort, and you think this is kind of good. It weirdly reminds you of Slauson Malone or an Earl Sweatshirt beat. As his vocals are chopped, the music is spread out really weirdly, and it almost comes off as experimental. But there is no artistic direction in what he is going for, and I can prove that with his lyrics, first of all, and second of all, with the things that he's done. He actually believes that his music isn't good, and you can tell by the things he is saying, by the satire in his lyrics, and by the album titles. This next segment of the video is going to be dedicated to Viper's offensive statements. Now, to be honest, these can go either way. In my opinion, a lot of rappers, whether it be like JPEG Mafia or Death Grips, can say certain things like this that certainly go under the radar, but I think everyone can overreact just because it's Viper. He has some song titles that are definitely satire, even up to his standards. For example, the song titled Baby Mama Named Me After a Kid, You Blank. And I'm sure you can tell by now that Viper is completely okay with saying any word or any slur, so that never really seems to bother any of his fans because, once again, most of Viper's fans are pretty much just into his music to play along with the joke. Also, Viper is pretty much known for scamming his fans. If you try and buy almost any of his merch, it is more expensive than it should be, and a lot of times you're not going to get everything you ordered. Viper also got trolled by his employee, and apparently Viper hired one of his employees and tried to scam him with stocks for a fake company, but then got reported to the FBI, and the employee had created a neutral net AI with sub-characters to fuck with Viper. And Viper does a lot of illegal activities and has some shit in his personal life that got completely exposed by this on a live stream. So I don't know about that entire situation, but it seems like Viper at this point has all of his personal life in the open. The third section of this video is just Viper's personal life. Viper, first of all, has made numerous claims about his life which are extremely untrue. First of all, he has claimed that he was a former NBA player and a real estate mogul, and none of which are true. These claims, while are kind of part of what he does, have led to skepticism just about his character in general, as he seems to believe these things. Now, while he is extremely dishonest, I do think that in some way or the other, he has some sort of mental issues. There's a lot going on about what he has to say about meditation, and I think one time he almost killed himself because of what he was trying to do to achieve like a second level of consciousness. That's a whole video within itself, and I'm pretty sure there are some creators on YouTube who have made videos about that, but I'm not going to get into it. Viper also makes some music videos, which is kind of interesting as well, but they have been criticized just as much as his album covers. They have extremely low production value and very much contain controversial imagery. He has this sort of DIY approach to making these music videos. He often has a green screen and lets fans put whatever they want in the back of his music videos, which leads to some deal between him and his fans. It seems like between him and his fan base, they don't have a super solid relationship. His fans a bunch of times get scammed. They're kind of just there to laugh at him and exploit the internet meme. Even though Viper is pretty much a meme rapper in the rap world or the music world, I think he thinks of himself to have some sort of artistic credibility, but there are some people that think that, especially his album You'll Cowards Don't Even Smoke Crack, have some sort of cloud rap artistic ability to it. Let me just say this. I believe that anyone could make this album, but because Viper has such a unique low-pitched voice, and because the lyrics are chopped up in different ways, it makes people believe that the album is better than it actually is. Please don't be fooled by this. Viper's music is not good, and I stand by this. Viper himself just lazily copies and pastes multiple of his works onto other works. He doesn't have any desire to actually make an original and unique piece of art, because even though he has done it maybe once or twice, he just continues to do the wash, rinse, and repeat over and over and over again for some reason. Now, some people could say Viper is doing this on purpose. He definitely is. But it's not because he is going to make more money from it or make less money for it. It's just kind of his brand at this point. There's also some health and substance abuse concerns about Viper's life. I don't want to get too into these because even though I've been pretty hard on Viper so far this video, this is super personal for him. And even though I think he's a huge piece of shit, I think that anyone's health and substance abuse concerns are very personal, and I'm just not going to get into it, but it is kind of publicly online. The last section of this video I'm going to dedicate into Viper's most recent controversy, which happened at the beginning of 2024. I know I'm covering it almost a year later, but that's because there is some new information that has surfaced, and I think this, compared with everything else he's done, just makes him out to be extremely unique. So I'll try and paraphrase what this article says, but I am reading this off of the CNN article, and I have made bullet points, so this isn't coming directly from me. Houston rapper Viper kidnapped a pregnant woman. His real name, who is Lee Carter, and his stage name is Viper, as you guys all know, was arrested in early of 2024 with charge aggravated kidnapping, according to court documents. Now, apparently what happened was that the police responded to Carter's home after a woman texted 911 and said she was being held against her will. Officers arrived at the home, pried open the garage door, and discovered a makeshift toilet that did not flush and a mattress covered with fresh vomit. The woman wore filthy clothes, appeared malnourished, and weighed about 70 pounds, and she told police that she had not showered in 2 months and survived pretty much basically on chips and other snacks. She said she had contacted 911 by using a texting app on Carter's laptop, which is Viper. Police said the garage had a lock on the inside that needed a key to be opened, and officers said when they arrived at the home and pried open the garage door that they saw pretty much diapers and snack chips and Twinkies all over the bed, along with the vomit. The woman said it had started when Viper saw her panhandling about 4 or 5 years ago in Houston when she was pregnant. She offered her $1 and asked if she needed any help. She said yes, and then Carter took her to her house, locked her in the garage, and kept her there. She told police she's since endured years of abuse by Carter, including him forcing her to take illegal drugs, and you know what he did. I don't have to get into it, but it rhymes with a fruit that is purple. Also, Viper has since proclaimed his innocence on social media. Apparently, he's released a handful of albums and hundreds of mixtapes about this situation, which is a lot considering it just happened a year ago. And he released an album called I Am Innocent, I Am Out of Jail, I did not do any of the allegations, and I will be fully exonerated. He also posted that on Twitter, and after that since has been under a lot of controversy for good reason, because with everything else that Viper has done, this makes sense. In 2019 too, he created a YouTube channel which talked a lot about kidnapping and talked a lot about human trafficking in his lyrics. So once he was arrested for kidnapping, he was released on January 8th with a $100,000 bond, and he had an arraignment scheduled for February 13th, but his bond was revoked on January 25th after he violated court orders by contacting the woman who he kidnapped. Now, after this, not much has happened to Viper. His ex-wife on October 22nd of this year was arrested and charged with over 50 counts of fraud and tampering with physical evidence, and Carter was charged with the same charges. His trial is now set for July 18th, 2025. So that has pretty much been what Viper has been up to recently in terms of the legal world, and because of this, he has only released 7 albums this year. Imagine an artist being too busy that they were only able to release 7 albums this year. And granted, Viper has had other years where, especially in recent history, where he's released less, but it seems like his fan base is still behind him on this. And I'm not going to take a side. I think compared to what Viper has been doing, that it's pretty on brand with him to be kind of crazy and do this, but I'm not going to say for sure until we get all the evidence and the court trial sums up. So maybe I'll make a follow-up video just to see what happens to Viper. Okay guys, I think that's going to be it for me today. As always, this was Crashbox, and yes, I am back and active on my channel. If you guys want to, make sure to check out my other videos where I do some iceberg about just some interesting artists. I make a lot of music content on this channel, so if you would, please subscribe. And yeah, peace. Love y'all.